The blackest eyes. The devil's eyes.
Welcome to ScreenCrush, I'm Colton Ogburn, and the Halloween franchise has had a lot of installments, 13 to be exact. But within those 13 films, there are 5 different timelines or cinematic universes.
5 timelines? Better call the TVA.
Yeah, it's a lot, and it can get confusing keeping up with which movies are in which timelines. I mean, we've got reboots, splintered timelines, and there's even one universe where Michael Myers doesn't exist.
Say what?
So let's break down each of these timelines film by film so that you can know which order they're meant to be watched and which movies are canon to which timelines. So we start with John Carpenter's original Halloween, which came out in 1978.
Halloween, the night he came home.
The horror icon and serial killer Michael Myers escapes from his mental institution and returns home to Haddonfield, Illinois. There on that Halloween night, he kills a bunch of babysitters and goes toe-to-toe with Laurie Strode and his former psychiatrist, Dr. Sam Loomis. Next came Halloween 2, which picks up directly where the original film left off. In this one, we learn that Michael and Laurie are actually brother and sister.
That girl, that Strode girl, that's Michael Myers' sister.
The sequel ends with Michael being shot in both his eyes and set on fire, seemingly killing the shape once and for all. And this is where we get our first timeline deviation, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. And it's really not even accurate to call it a deviation, you see, because Halloween 3 actually takes place in its own universe. A universe where the previous Halloween films are just that, films.
The Immortal Classic, followed by The Big Giveaway at 9, brought to you by...
This movie attempted to continue the franchise without Michael Myers and make a series of different horror films that share the Halloween banner. But Michael Myers was so sorely missed by fans that he was brought back for Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. This restored the original timeline and picked back up 10 years after Halloween 1 and 2. Halloween 4 opens with us learning that Michael survived the events of Halloween 2. Michael is wrapped in bandages from his brutal burning, and he has been comatose for the past decade. He's now being transferred between sanitariums, and shocker, he escapes.
He was here, but he's gone.
Dr. Loomis tracks down Michael and begs him to leave the people of Haddonfield alone. Loomis then travels to Haddonfield and warns that Michael will return home. Halloween 4 and its sequel, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, they follow the character Jamie Lloyd, the daughter of the now deceased Laurie Strode. She lives with her adopted family in Haddonfield. Now, Halloween 4 and 5 show Michael pursuing his niece, and he kills a lot of people along the way. We also get some badass fight scenes between Loomis and Michael. Now, 4 and 5 also tease that there was something supernatural about Michael Myers and his family, a connection to a cult called Thorn. Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, dials the supernatural element to 11, and despite the charm of a young Paul Rudd, this film really fumbled and led to the first semi-reboot of the franchise. The next film was Halloween H2O, Halloween 20 years later, which featured the return of Laurie Strode. She now goes by Carrie Tate and is the headmaster of a private school. The only prior Halloween films that are considered canon in this film's timeline are the original 78 movie and Halloween 2. Halloween 4, 5, and 6 are all ignored, and H2O serves as a direct sequel to the second film.
Michael Myers. It's like 20 years ago, right?
1978.
Originally, this film was going to acknowledge films 4, 5, and 6, and I mean, that could have worked because even H2O says that Laurie Strode faked her death, so that could explain her being thought dead in the previous films. But with things getting really trippy and overly supernatural in The Curse of Michael Myers, they instead opted to alter the script and not acknowledge any of those movies. But there was originally a scene in H2O where Laurie hears about the death of her daughter, Jamie, which we saw in Curse of Michael Myers, and when Laurie finds out, we see her run out of the classroom and throw up. Anyway, this movie officially takes place on a splintered timeline stemming from Halloween 2, and it ended with Laurie cutting Michael's head off with an axe. And then they released this beauty.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
Halloween Resurrection did a good old-fashioned retcon. Not a timeline change, but just a retcon. They made it to where this guy wasn't actually Michael Myers. Resurrection also killed off Laurie Strode in like the first 10 minutes.
I'll see you in hell.
So after the absolute disaster that was Halloween Resurrection, the franchise got rebooted with another whole new timeline. But this one had no connection to any of the prior Halloween films. It's a full-blown reboot/remake. These two films were directed by Rob Zombie and gave us a more modern take on the story of Michael and Laurie. They also gave us a much closer look into the psyche of Michael and his childhood.
Afraid you can't go home.
Why?
Because you've done terrible things.
Now, while I personally enjoyed Zombie's first installment, the sequel wasn't for me, and it kind of killed the franchise for a while. But then nearly 10 years later, we got what is known as Halloween 2018.
Do you know that I pray every night that he would escape?
What the hell did you do that for?
So I can kill him.
40 years after the original film, we see the return of Laurie Strode. Again. Now, this movie isn't connected to the original Halloween timeline or the H2O timeline. This one is a direct sequel to the 1978 film. And by decanonizing Halloween 2, they decanonized Laurie and Michael being siblings.
Wasn't it her brother who murdered all those babysitters?
No. It was not her brother. That's something that people made up.
In this universe, Michael has been in the sanitarium for 40 years after having been caught on that same Halloween night as the original. In fact, in this film's sequel, Halloween Kills, we got a flashback scene that showed us where this timeline splintered from both the original timeline and the H2O timeline. We got to see a scene with a digitally recreated Dr. Loomis and Michael Myers and how Michael was captured that night.
I could have made all this go away.
Now, look, this isn't a review, but I do want to take a second to say that I really enjoyed Halloween 2018, and I didn't mind at all that they did away with the other films so that they could tell new stories with Michael and Laurie. But Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends are two of the worst Halloween films in the entire franchise, and I am still baffled how they managed to screw this up so badly.
You got something I need. Just a man and a Halloween mask. What are you gonna do now?
So, in closing, there are a total of 5 Halloween timelines. There's the original timeline, which includes Halloween 1978, Halloween 2, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, and Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. And then there's the H2O timeline, which keeps the original Halloween and Halloween 2, but does away with the rest and gave us Halloween H2O and Halloween Resurrection. And then we have the latest timeline, which includes the original 78 film and the new trilogy of films that take place 40 years later. Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends, but none of the other films are canon, just those 4. And then of course there are the 2 separate timelines that are disconnected from the original film entirely, Season of the Witch and Rob Zombie's remake, Duology. So those are all the timelines of the Halloween franchise. Let me know down in the comments below which one is your favorite. If you're new here, please be sure to subscribe, click that bell so you get alerted every time we upload a new video. Also be sure to check out our merch store. We got lots of great stuff up on the merch store. Getting stuff from our merch store is a great way to support the channel and we really appreciate it. For ScreenCrush, I'm Colton Ogburn.